So here we are with another episode of We Make Things, video podcast from Satellite Films. I'm Kwong Lee, the host. I'm here with my friend Johnas Street, singer, performer, social media manager. How you doing today?
Hey man, I'm happy to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Cool. So tell me what your role is. What do you do here in the Bay Area?
Yeah, so right now I'm the global social media manager and senior PR specialist over at Cadence Design Systems. It's been very rewarding, learning different, industries within the tech industry that I had never worked with before. I worked at Intel and Roku, which are, Intel was a bit of B2B and B2C, and Roku was strictly B2C, right? And now I'm here at Cadence, and it's strictly B2B. So, learning just that, all of those different terminologies and like those those long tech words and, computational software, EDA, just that type of stuff. But it's cool. It's fun.
So like when someone does the role like a social media lead or manager of social media, what is it that you do and what are you responsible for?
A social media manager, and especially a lead in my case, where I own all of Cadence's social media. I run it all. So, you're doing strategy, you're doing, training, you're doing, employee communications, you're doing digital marketing, you're doing demand gen, you're doing paid, you're doing organic, you're doing a calendar, editorial, like all these different things, copywriting. And I don't think people really understand that aspect of it. It's a really huge job. It's very important, especially right now within, this situation that we're in, with COVID. So, everything's virtually right now. So a lot of, I would say a lot of responsibilities are on my shoulders and people, that do this type of work right now.
Yeah. So, I mean, for the people who don't know, not only are you running all of your company's social media channels, the LinkedIn's, the Twitters and stuff, but you're creating content for that. Mm-hmm. Like, what's a day in the life like for a social media manager?
Wake up and you go straight to Twitter, you go straight to Facebook, go straight to LinkedIn, and you just see what's trending. And you're making sure you're, depending on what type of products you're using for your social media management tools, whether it's Sprout or Opal or, things like that. For us, we use Sprout. And you go in there making sure the content that you have scheduled for the day is going out, because sometimes some platforms you have to like renew the subscription within the platform, like renew the connection, I should say. And you got to make sure that is there, because if it's not connected, then the post won't go out. And then you missed that mark. So I mean, it's really, just being attentive, being aware, so.
It's such an interesting job. And it's interesting that you mentioned the Roku, working for Roku being B2C, and then, Intel or Cadence being B2B. I'm sure there's a huge difference, but how does running social for a consumer brand or a consumer company different from working for a business-to-business company?
Yeah, when it's B2C and you're talking to consumers, it can be a little bit more fun, a little bit more, you can use memes, right? You can use, humor, those type of things. But when it's B2B, you try to keep it more so like a news ticker. You think of your social media feed as like your newsroom or your news page. You basically sharing your news, your public news on your social media accounts, and trying to get them back to your webpage, your website.
So is it a little bit for doing social for a B2B company, is it a little bit more like a PR? Like you're kind of like doing press releases and things like that? I'm just curious myself.
Yes. It has a lot of PR components to it. And I'm actually, getting more into PR, because I did, PR at Roku, but it was more so blog writing for, what's the top 10 movies coming out for Netflix this month, or,
I think I saw some of those of yours.
Yeah, exactly. So now, I'm looking at, your, talking about, product releases for Cadence or partnerships, things like that. Yeah.
That's cool. So in those types of jobs, either B2B or B2C, are you replying to fans, or is that mostly kind of on a consumer product, as a consumer job? Are you
No.
finding Cadence fans who use
Yeah.
the technology?
Well, for Cadence, it wouldn't be fans. I would say more so customers or partners or students. Like a lot of colleges and college students use our products within school. That they learn on our products. So, replying to direct messages from them, like if there's a problem and they can't get in touch with someone, like if there's a message, I go check the message and I will get that message and get it to the right person within our organization who can get that answered, and then I leave that conversation between them. But and that's another thing. I'm kind of like a gatekeeper as well,
Right.
So with customers and people who may have problems and they can't get in touch with someone immediately, folks always know that they can go to social media and get someone's attention
Right.
fast.
Right. So for people who are wanting to get into becoming a social media manager, how much is for a B2B company where you might not know the technical details? Do you partner with like a product manager to create the content, or are you expected to kind of come up with it all yourself? How much of the content are you creating, and are you partnering with other people for that?
A lot of my role is collaboration. So I have to collaborate with the creative team who's making the videos or who's creating the graphics, right? Then I also have to work with the product team, the product marketing team, then the different BUs who have specific groups for specific products, and then I also work with my broader PR team who have press releases that they've worked on, and then they've worked on it with other VPs within the company. I work with HR, so I literally work with every business group throughout the entire company, and it gives me a lot of visibility, which is a good thing, because, well, I guess it's a good thing and a bad thing. Bad thing is if I don't perform or deliver, then it's public, right? But then also on the flip side of that is, in the way I look at it, I like to look with a growth mindset, and the positive is trying to do the best that I can and take chances, take risks, and try to think outside the box and try to do things a little bit differently. And luckily, we've seen a lot of growth on our channels since I've came on board.
So what kind of personality traits would be good for this kind of job, and what makes you, Johnas, good at this particular job? Are you a social person? Is the fact that you like to post things? Like what makes you good at this job?
I guess it's funny because there are some people that I've met in this industry who are not really social, but they just understand like the psyche or the psychology of social media channels. And I think that's what it boils down to, really. I think it boils down to, one, understanding and knowing your audience and who you're talking to and who's listening to you. And then also understanding each platform, because each platform speaks differently to the users. Instagram is more visual, LinkedIn is more, business focused. Twitter is just, quick tweets. Boom, you're out. Just thoughts, right? Facebook is a little bit more, at this point, it's a little bit more family oriented, I would say. So I guess you just got to really, understand each platform and really, really understand like your core audience.
Yeah. Well, let's get a little bit more into your background. Like,
Okay.
you're a performer and you're a singer, actor. So tell me about like where you grew up and how you got over to the Bay Area.
Yeah, man. I grew up in Mississippi, born and raised, 8 of 10 kids. Well, I'm the 8th of 10 kids.
Wow.
Yeah. Grew up single mother. My father passed away a month before I was born, and then my stepfather passed away when I was like 9 or so. But a few months before that, I remember getting up in the middle of the night, going to use the restroom, and overheard them talking about, like just money, just trying to figure out how we're gonna pay for our clothes, school clothes, get school supplies, bills and all these different things. And I knew right then and there that I had to figure out a way to, if I couldn't make money for my family, then at least make money and take care of myself.
Mm.
So, and literally like about 5 or 6 years from there, later, I ended up signing this record deal, singing with this group out of Atlanta. I was the lead singer, and the guy that I was signed to was Maury Starr. He was the guy that did like New Kids on the Block and New Edition. But at a young age of 15, I was able to, end up taking care of myself. And that's when I left the house, and that took me to Atlanta. And then after that ended, I ended up going to college over in Oakland. And I had the grades, I had the skills, so I ended up going to Holy Names University on basketball and academic scholarship. I went back to Atlanta and was, getting back in the studio. And then I heard about this other audition for this TV show called Being Mary Jane. And I went there and I got this role. And that was crazy.
You're getting married?
Kenny, where's the ring? I mean, she can't get married without a ring.
I don't want one. I want a house.
Wait, Naomi, you're getting married and you're moving where?
North Carolina. I'm working at the pharmacy at the new Kroger there.
Hey.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Wow. Okay.
And while I was there, sitting at the set was a table. I was sitting at the table like this, just looking around like this, looking around. And I said, I think there's more for me. There's more that I can be doing on top of this. Like not like putting this aside, but on top of this, because I didn't want to like literally live gig to gig. I just didn't want that for me. I knew I was about to get married and have kids. I didn't know I was gonna have twins first. But
congratulations.
Thank you. So I said after this, I'm going back to Silicon Valley, and I'm going to work at one of the biggest tech companies in the world. I didn't know which one it was going to be. I just knew I was going to work at one of them. And within 3 months of getting back out here, I ended up at Intel. And then that began this journey. Last year, I booked an Apple gig. I had about 3 performances with my band. So all while still working in tech. So I'm literally living the dream that I've always dreamed. Yeah. I don't have to be like this, like huge star. I just want to be able to do what I love, right?
We're both people of color. We're both minorities working in Silicon Valley. What's it been like for you, like working here, going to school here, and like now kind of being in a prominent role? Have you ever faced discrimination? Have you kind of had to overcome it? Like, what's the experience been like for you?
Yeah, I remember when I first got back out here, like I said, within that 3 months, I was just hitting and hustling. There's been, I had, a lot of interviews during that time. I remember one interview went like this. They didn't want anybody, that was fresh out of college. But then I ended up seeing the person that they hired was someone that was fresh out of college, but didn't look like me. Right?
Yeah.
So that was one instance. And then I ended up getting a shot, man. I ended up getting a shot, and it was this lady. She's an ally. She works in diversity and inclusion. She gave me my first shot, and she completely changed my life. The way I look at it is racism has always been here, and the way this world has always been here. Ain't nothing changed. The only thing that changes is Will Smith said it best. He said, racism isn't getting worse, it's just getting filmed.
Right.
It's getting filmed. That's it.
Yeah.
And they knew the problems that we're going through, that we were going through, folks like me were going through, but they benefited from it, right? So it's like, what do you want? Like a lot of times people don't want to put their necks out there for that, or in risk of losing their positions or losing their. And I understand that that's just a human thing, right? But for me, I like to look at it as, man, we need equity, we need equality. You know what I'm saying? We need inclusion. And I feel like that's the only way that a country like the USA can, continue to move forward and be this leader, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm hopeful for the future, for sure. I'm hopeful. I will say this, better days are ahead of us. I don't think things will be like they were in the past, and I'm thankful for that. But then I still do believe there's a lot of work to be done. I talk about this all the time. I think there's 2 things that can create immediate impact, and that's economics and education, because those were the main things that were withheld from Black folks, during slavery and on up until now.
for people who of color who are getting started in tech, like if you have any advice for them, let's say you're in a meeting with like a bunch of white folks, white men,
Mhm.
and maybe they're not taking in your idea, and you're feeling like there's a wall. Do you have any advice for someone else in that situation? Have you had that situation, and what would be your advice in that situation?
I got a perfect advice for that is to create. Plain and simple. Just create. If you create a podcast or create a blog or you have a YouTube channel or TikTok, whatever, like use the things that you have at your hand, at your advantage. Your cell phone can change your entire life. I mean, think about the guy that just did that TikTok video on Twitter. He
Right.
posted on Twitter about he was doing like all these different the VFX stuff, and
The Spider-Man one? Was it?
The Spider-Man, exactly.
Yeah.
He got the attention of Bob Iger. He's only 20. He's still in college. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At this point in age, at this time in 2020, the best way to take control of your future and control of and own your own story is to create your story, is to tell your story.
Yeah.
Because everybody got a resume. Everybody,
Yeah.
think outside the box, bring ideas to the meetings. And then also, there's nothing wrong with side projects.
Right.
Do some side projects, learn a new skill a new skill set that you can use for your industry that you're in. I mean, there's so much to our advantage with Google and the internet.
Yeah.
It's made the world so much smaller.
You almost have like a giant encyclopedia in your phone. Like anything,
right.
You can look up anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I think in whatever industry you're in, if you are able to create content, if you're able to create value, I think that's the way that, even if don't have the same advantages of other people, you can set yourself apart. If you bring something of value to the table. So I think that's important for people listening to know. So Johnas, I know you have 3 kids, so I know, you're a busy guy. So I want to thank you for doing this. Cool. Thanks so much, Johnas. Have a great night.
You too, buddy.